Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on Akashvani. This is Abhineet Shukla, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring to you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. India gets a new parliament building. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says it is a shining example of country's vision. President Draupadi Murmu calls it an important milestone in India's democratic journey. ISRO begins countdown for launch of navigation satellite NVS-01 from Satish Dhawan Space Center, Sriharikota. US President Joe Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy reach agreement to raise federal government's $31.4 trillion debt ceiling. In Turkey, second round of voting held for first presidential runoff between Tayyip Erdogan and Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu. In badminton, HS Pranoy clinches men's singles title of Malaysia Masters 2023 at Kuala Lumpur. And in IPL cricket final between Gujarat Titans and Chennai Super Kings delayed due to rain in Ahmedabad. India has got a new parliament building. Prime Minister Narendra Modi dedicated it to the nation in New Delhi on Sunday and installed the Sangol with Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla. Prime Minister Modi, Lok Sabha Speaker Birla and Union Cabinet Ministers attended an all-religion prayer meeting. To mark the historic occasion, the Prime Minister launched a 75 rupee denomination coin and a postage stamp. Addressing the nation in the Lok Sabha chamber of the new building, the Prime Minister said, "The new building of the Parliament will call for the development of the world along with the development of India." He stressed that it is not just a building but a reflection of Atmanirbhar Bharat and the aspirations and dreams of 140 crore Indians. He said, "This is the temple of democracy, giving the message of India's determination to the world."
ये सिर्फ एक भवन नहीं है, ये 140 करोड़ भारतवासियों की आकांक्षाओं और सपनों का प्रतिबिंब है। ये विश्व को भारत के दृढ़ संकल्प का संदेश देता हमारे लोकतंत्र का मंदिर है.
Mr. Modi said that India started its new journey after losing a lot during the slavery period. He said the journey has entered the golden age of freedom after going through many ups and downs and overcoming many challenges.
गुलामी के बाद हमारे भारत ने बहुत कुछ खोकर अपनी नई यात्रा शुरू की थी. वो यात्रा कितने ही उतार चढ़ावों से होते हुए, कितनी ही चुनौतियों को पार करते हुए आजादी के अमृत काल में प्रवेश कर चुकी है. आजादी का ये अमृत काल विरासत को सहेजते हुए विकास के नए आयाम गढ़ने का अमृत काल है.
Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla also addressed the gathering. In her message, President Draupadi Murmu said, the inauguration of the new parliament building will be written in golden words in the country's history. She said, it is a matter of pride and immense happiness for the entire country. Noting that the parliament is a guiding light for the country, the President termed it as an important milestone in our democratic journey. In a tweet, Vice President Jagdeep Dhankhar said, it is eminently befitting that Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the first Prime Minister of the country born after independence, has dedicated this magnificent building. The Vice President said he firmly believes that Parliament is the North Star of democracy and it is the most authentic constitutional forum reflecting the mandate of the people. The messages of the President and the Vice President were read out by Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha, Mr. Harivansh. In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a discussion on the inauguration of new Parliament building. The participants are Akashvani correspondent Ishan Mittal and political analyst Shekhar Iyer.
Today is a momentous day when India witnessed the inauguration of its new parliament in the 75th year of its independence. Prime Minister Narendra Modi dedicated the Parliament of India and invoked the spirit of Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat while addressing the nation during the inauguration. PM Modi also addressed his 101st episode of Mann Ki Baat. To discuss these developments, today we have with us Mr. Shekhar Iyer, political analyst. Shekharji, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ishan. Thank you very much.
Sir, firstly, we wanted to discuss about the parliament that was inaugurated today. And the most important thing which caught everyone's imagination was the symbol that was installed. It had a lot of discussion happening before the installation. So if you could shed light on that development.
Indeed, it was a very, very momentous day. And you mentioned about Sengol being installed, rather reinstalled, I would say, because this was the same Sengol that was handed over to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in the evening of August 1947. And it was handed over by religious leaders who are worshippers of Lord Shiva, or they are Shaivite mutts or Adinams from Tamil Nadu, who had brought this specially, Sengol, with the belief that the new people who are taking charge from the British, rather the new rulers, not that they are kings, because we did not opt for a monarchy. So those who are taking charge, they will be blessed. They will be able to discharge their duty in the name of justice, the name of fair play, in the name of people's welfare. So that is a symbolism of Sengol, because in the olden times, not just in Tamil Nadu or not just part of Chola dynasty, but also in other kingdoms we have seen in the south, even in other parts of the world. We just witnessed the coronation of King Charles III. There also you would have seen, he was presented not just with the crown, he was also given things which symbolize a kind of taking charge. So similarly, Sengol was meant to be like that. But unfortunately, Sengol, somehow people who received it or subsequently who were people who were supposed to look after it did not realize the symbolism with which it was given to Pandit Nehru. So constantly it ended up as a walking stick of Pandit Nehru in Anand Bhavan, later in a museum in Allahabad, which somehow people, it was recalled by particularly the Adinams of Tamil Nadu. They mentioned it because the senior pontiff who had given it, he had recorded it. In fact, various Adinams had recorded this, and subsequently it came to light. And finally it was left to a classical dancer by the name of Dr. Padma Subramaniam. She's a very famous dancer. She sent a Tamil magazine article to the Prime Minister. And after that, the Prime Minister got his research team to look into it to find out where is this Sengol, which is very significant because it was given with lot of sentiment. It had a sentimental value because this was brought specially from Tamil Nadu. It was flown on that evening and brought, and it was first shown to Lord Mountbatten. In fact, the idea was discussed between Nehruji and Rajaji, and finally they contacted and this was done. So today, the restoration of that and it getting a place in the new Lok Sabha, I think is a message which the Prime Minister wishes to convey, that Sengol is about good governance. Sengol is about doing justice to people. Sengol is about totally to be committed to people's welfare. That is a big message that is coming from installation of Sengol in the new Sansad Bhavan.
From this, I would like to take forward to the significance of the event where our Prime Minister, who is from Gujarat, inaugurated the Sansad Bhavan, which is in Delhi, with the blessings of Tamil Adinam. So if you could just capture that image for us, for our audience.
If you recall, in 2020, when the foundation stone was laid, it was laid with lot of Havan and Puja and all that. Because we always invoke the blessings of the God for any occasion, whether from marriage to Grah Pravesh. Even if you are buying a flat, you want to do some little puja. So that is why understanding the faith of millions of people in invoking the divine powers for a greater beginning, for a new beginning. Similarly, today Sansad Bhavan had some kind of a religious, I would say, a drill, in the sense that first you had a Havan, which probably started much earlier than 6:30 or 7. And by the time it concluded, Prime Minister himself joined in doing Purana Ahuti. That was Ganapati Home. That was to invoke the power of Lord Ganapati. So similarly, that was done, followed by Sengol. Puja was also done to Sengol and handed over to the Prime Minister, who carried it inside and installed it. The idea was that we believe in the strength that comes from the divine to us. And that is the message of today's prayers, today's pujas, and then the Sarvadharma. Pratana is basically religious heads from various faiths. They too came and prayed. From Buddhist prayers were invoked. You saw prayers of Islam, the prayers of Christianity, Judaism, and even Zoroastrianism. All prayers were said. And all these prayers might have been said in different languages. But the essence of the prayer is, may this country be blessed. May the work in this new building be for the welfare of the country. May good things happen to us. May we be able to defeat all the negative energies that surround us and sometimes pull us down. May we be filled with positive energy. May we be filled with lot of hope, optimism and energy to do what needs to be done to make this country great.
Could you talk about the new parliament, what it signifies for us and what is the utility of it for us going forward? Because it was a momentous occasion and the inauguration has been a special event. So if you could shed some light on that.
New modern parliament building has always been felt for almost 2 decades. past governments had also considered this, but no decisive action was taken. If you remember, even the former Lok Sabha Speaker Veera Kumar had also initiated on this, because the old building, which is today 96 years old, it was opened in 1927 when Lord Irwin was Governor General, and it was in the pre-independence era. Now today, a building that is 96 years old, lot of money is required to keep it for its maintenance. Often it used to leak. I remember for every parliament session, before it starts, the officials is to undertake a major repair work, a major refurbishment and things like that. And 3 years from hence, that is say from 2026, there will be delimitation of Lok Sabha constituencies, but that's a constitutional requirement. For a long time, the number of seats in the parliament has been frozen. There has not been big changes. But the time has come, there will be delimitation. You cannot postpone that exercise forever. So the number of Lok Sabha members, that will go up. When it goes up, you will have to make seating arrangements for all of them. That was not possible in the old Lok Sabha or in the old Rajya Sabha. Therefore, new building was necessary, and Prime Minister, always believes that you anticipate a problem and you prepare for it and keep the solution ready. It should not be an ad hoc approach. He has been against ad hoc approach to many issues. You should anticipate the requirement, whether it is your power requirement, whether it is your infrastructure requirement, or if you are looking at what should be agriculture 10 years hence, you should prepare for that. So similarly, this is a good example where things were taken up 2 years ago, and in a speedy manner, in a time-bound manner, things were executed with Prime Minister personally supervising it. You would have seen between, he made surprise visits. He spoke to the workers, he spoke to the engineers often to find out how the project is moving, and today the project stands completed. The new Sansad Bhavan is inaugurated, and the next session of Parliament, which is the monsoon session of Parliament, which is due to begin in July, will take place there. And this building is equipped with all modern technology, with all modern facilities. So for the Lok Sabha members, at the press of a button, they can get a lot of information. Their debates will get more enriched in major decision making, in major law making exercises, will be much more enriched by the fact that a lot of modern technology is available to them, and all that is required is their commitment and resolve to take up issues through consensus and debate and find a solution.
This construction was completed in a record 2.5 years, and it could not have been possible without the artisans who worked day and night to finish it. And the Prime Minister also felicitated them. So he has done this in the past as well. If you could just talk about these gestures that the Prime Minister makes and how they hold up as an example for the country.
Ishan, the Prime Minister believes in the dignity of labor, and he also realizes the biggest contributions come from people who are actually, who contribute physically. And you would have seen whether it was inauguration of Atalji's tunnel or whether it was Vishwanath corridor in Kashi Vishwanath temple. Prime Minister, any project after once it is completed and it is dedicated to nation, Prime Minister makes it a point to talk to the workers, to the laborers who are described as Shramjeevis, people who actually literally use their blood and sweat. They toil day and night for a completion of the project. It should not be that a project is done, people are forgotten. See, today in real estate boom, where you find beautiful buildings have come up in and around Delhi, in different cities. But do we remember the workers who did it? Do we remember who spent day and night toiling for those buildings? But Prime Minister makes it a point to honor them. He makes it a point to ensure that they are part of the celebration when the project is inaugurated. It's a beautiful gesture, and each of those laborers who, worked hard for the last 2 years or 2.5 years, they would go back with a memory of their contribution, that they have contributed to this building. That is the true Bharatiyata or true Indianness, where you celebrate the spirit of contribution of every individual, no matter how high or low, or no matter whether they use their brain or brawn. But the fact that they have made a contribution, their dedication and sincerity of purpose has resulted in completion of a project in time. That needs to be celebrated, and that's what the Prime Minister did today when he honored all those Shramjeevis.
Thanks, Mr. Iyer, for this highly informative session.
Thank you very much.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi shared his thoughts in his monthly radio program Mann Ki Baat. This was the 101st episode of the program on Akashvani. The Prime Minister highlighted the unique efforts of Yuva Sangam in strengthening the spirit of Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat among the youth. Mr. Modi said the Ministry of Education has taken up this initiative keeping in mind the unity and diversity of the nation.
विभिन्न राज्यों के उच्च शिक्षा संस्थानों को इससे जोड़ा गया है। युवा संगम में युवा दूसरे राज्यों के शहरों और गांवों में जाते हैं। उन्हें अलग अलग तरह के लोगों के साथ मिलने का मौका मिलता है। युवा संगम के फर्स्ट राउंड में लगभग 1200 युवा देश के 22 राज्यों का दौरा कर चुके हैं। जो भी युवा इसका हिस्सा बने हैं, वे अपने साथ ऐसी यादें लेकर वापस लौट रहे हैं जो जीवन भर उनके हृदय में बसी रहेगी.
Mr. Modi also noted that CEOs and business leaders of many big companies have spent time in India as backpackers. He expressed pride that leaders of other countries tell him about visiting India in their youth. Touching upon the subject of water conservation, the Prime Minister highlighted people's efforts in this direction. He also expressed happiness on construction of more than 50,000 Amrit Sarovars. Mr. Modi mentioned some startups related to water conservation. The startup Flux10 provides water management options through IoT-enabled technologies. This technology is useful in learning about the patterns of water usage. Prime Minister said it will help in the effective use of water. Recounting his visit to the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum during his recent tour to Japan, he called it an emotional experience. He said, cherishing memories of history helps the coming generations. Mr. Modi also spoke about the International Museum Expo, which was organized in India a few days ago. It depicted the specialities of more than 1,200 museums of the world. Prime Minister noted that there are different types of museums in India which display many aspects related to the country's past. Mr. Modi said, preparations are going on in the country and abroad to celebrate World Yoga Day on the 21st of June.
21 जून को हम वर्ल्ड योगा डे भी मनाएंगे. उसकी भी देश विदेश में तैयारियां चल रही है. आप इन तैयारियों के बारे में भी अपने मन की बात मुझे लिखते रहिए. किसी और विषय पर कोई और जानकारी अगर आपको मिले तो वो भी मुझे बताइएगा.
This is Akashvani giving you the world news. US President Joe Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy have reached an agreement in principle to raise the federal government's $31.4 trillion debt ceiling. It will end a month-long stalemate. The deal will avert an economically destabilizing default which the Treasury Department warned would occur if the debt ceiling was not raised by the 5th of June. The deal still needs to receive an approval from the Congress. Mr. Biden called the agreement an important step forward and termed it as a compromise. However, Mr. McCarthy said that there are still a lot of work to do, but called it an agreement worthy of the American people. India's Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh is on a 3-day visit to Nigeria. He will attend the swearing-in ceremony of Nigeria's President-elect Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu at Eagle Square in Abuja on Monday. In his tweet, Raksha Mantri expressed confidence in further strengthening the India-Nigeria bilateral relations. The Defence Minister said, discussions will also be held with Nigerian industry representatives and armed forces to explore how the Indian defence industry can support Nigeria's requirements. Mr. Singh will also address the Indian diaspora in Abuja, which is home to an estimated 50,000 members of the Indian community. India's Education and Skill Development and Entrepreneurship Minister Dharmendra Pradhan is proceeding on a 3-day visit to Singapore. The visit is aimed at strengthening existing ties and exploring the possibility for widening the scope of bilateral engagement in education and skill development. During the visit, Mr. Pradhan will be meeting various key ministers of Singaporean government, including Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Lawrence Wong, Senior Minister Tharman Shanmugaratnam, Foreign Minister Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan, Minister for Trade and Industry Gan Kim Yong, and Education Minister Chan Chung Sing. Mr. Pradhan will also visit various educational institutions, including Singapore Spectra Secondary School, Nanyang Technological University, Institute of Technical Education and Educational Services, Singapore University of Technology and Design. The minister will interact with the Skills Future Singapore, the nodal agency under Singapore government which drives the implementation of Skills Future movement. During his visit, Mr. Pradhan will be meeting members of Indian diaspora. The countdown for the launch of ISRO's GSLV F-12 or NVS-01 began at 7:12 a.m. on Sunday. ISRO will be sending the rocket at 10:42 a.m. on Monday from the second launch pad at Satish Dhawan Space Center, Sriharikota. The geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle mission is designed to deploy the NVS-01 navigation satellite weighing about 2,232 kilograms. This is the first of the second generation satellites envisaged for the navigation with Indian constellation services. NVS series of satellites will sustain and augment the NAVIC or NAVIC with enhanced features. NAVIC offers two services. One is the standard position service for civilian users and restricted service for strategic users. India will join the list of 3 other countries in the world after this mission. The satellite will be injected into a geosynchronous transfer orbit at around 20 minutes after the launch. Subsequent orbit raising maneuvers will be used for taking the satellite to the intended orbit. The satellite will also carry an indigenously developed rubidium atomic clock, which will be used for GPS precise location timing. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will flag off Assam's first Vande Bharat Express in Guwahati on Monday via video conferencing. The train will connect Guwahati with New Jalpaiguri. On regular days, the train will start from Guwahati at 4:30 p.m. and reach New Jalpaiguri at 10 p.m. It will operate on all days except Tuesday. Our correspondent reports that it will save about an hour's journey time as compared with the current fastest train connecting both the places. The new service will cover the distance of 411 kilometers. In Turkey, voting was held on Sunday for a second time in 2 weeks in one of the most decisive presidential races in the country's history. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan led Turkey for 20 years and is seeking another 5-year term. Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, a political veteran backed by a diverse coalition of opposition parties, is running against him. In the first round on the 14th of May, Erdogan received the most votes with 49.5% compared to Kılıçdaroğlu 44.9%. Turkey holds election every 5 years. The candidate who receives more than 50% of votes in the first round is elected president, but if no candidate gets a majority vote, the election goes to a second round between the two candidates who received the highest number of votes in the first round. The election comes as Turkey is grappling with an economic crisis as well as struggling to recover from devastating earthquakes in February. In Bangladesh, the High Commission of India, in partnership with local organizations organizing the G20 Mega Beach Cleanup Program at Patanga Beach in Chattogram on Sunday. The event, organized under the rubric of India's G20 presidency in 2023, witnessed enthusiastic participation from distinguished members of Bangladesh government, local administration, civil society and media, as well as students and youth volunteers. During the event, a pledge was taken to protect the oceans from pollution and waste. The assembled people pledged to spread awareness about the harmful impact of pollution on marine life. They also pledged to strive for a sustainable and environment-friendly lifestyle. The assembled people, including the students and local volunteers, distinguished guests, people of the local administration and civil society members, undertook a cleaning activity at the Patanga beach. High Commissioner of India to Bangladesh, Pranay Verma, in his remarks said that acceptance of India's invitation to participate as a guest country during India's G20 presidency reflected the extensive and in-depth partnership shared by both the countries. He added that India-Bangladesh bilateral relations are multifaceted and manifest in active cooperation in wide-ranging areas, including protection of shared natural ecosystems. Speaking as the chief guest on the occasion, Bangladesh Minister of Land, Saifuzzaman Chaudhry, stressed that Bangladesh has always been at the forefront of climate action. Nepal Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachand will be on an official visit to India from the 31st of this month to the 3rd of next month at the invitation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He will be on his first bilateral visit to India after assuming office in December 2022. He will be accompanied by a high-level delegation. The resumption of train services from Colombo to Kanken-Santurai is expected to bring relief to thousands of passengers who have been eagerly awaiting this moment. According to Maho-Omanthai Railway Project Director Asoka Munasinghe, train operations from Colombo to Kanken-Santurai may recommence as early as the 15th of July. At present, trains on the northern line are only operating up to Anuradhapura due to ongoing renovation activities on the railway tracks. The renovation of the track from Anuradhapura to Bavuniya is scheduled to be completed by June, paving the way for the extension of train services further north. India's ace shuttler HS Pranoy has clinched Malaysia Masters badminton title. He defeated Weng Hongyang of China 21-19, 13-21, 21-18 in men's singles final in Kuala Lumpur on Sunday. World number 9 Pranoy received a walkover in his semi-final clash on Saturday to final after Indonesia's Christian Adinata pulled out with an injury towards the end of the first game. In women's singles, PV Sindhu's campaign ended after a loss in the semi-final. Sindhu was defeated by Indonesia's Gregoria Mariska Tunjung. Heavy rain in Ahmedabad has delayed the toss ahead of the IPL final between Chennai Super Kings and Gujarat Titans. Defending champions Gujarat Titans are up against the four-time champions Chennai Super Kings in the summit clash at the Narendra Modi Stadium. The win for Mahendra Singh Dhoni-led Chennai will bring them at par with the Mumbai Indians with most IPL trophies. On the other hand, the Hardik Pandya-led Gujarat team reached its second final in a row. If they win the final, Gujarat would become the first team to win back-to-back titles in their first 2 years. Indian runners Jyoti Yaraji and Amlan Borgohain won their respective events at the Kupfals Gala Athletics Meet in Weinheim, Germany on Saturday. In this Continental Tour Challenger event, Jyoti clocked an impressive 12.84 second in women's 100-meter hurdles. This is her season best timing and the second best of her career behind her national record 12.82 second run last year. Amlan Borgohain, on the other hand, emerged as the fastest men's 200-meter runner with a timing of 20.66 seconds. And now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. Washington Post reports Biden-McCarthy reach agreement in principle to raise debt ceiling as default looms. The Wall Street Journal reports the dollar is still king in Europe and it is swaying interest rates. Le Monde reports Italy's fourth mafia is spreading terror and death in Puglia. The Japan Times reports Indo-Pacific nations vow to fortify supply chains for critical items. Japan slowly wakes up to health risks of PFAS forever chemicals. South China Morning Post writes, Afghanistan reopens direct flight to China with Kabul-Urumqi service. The Globe and Mail writes, Sudan military ruler seeks removal of UN envoy in letter to the organization's chief, who is shocked by the demand. And Khabar Hub writes, Nepali Congress leader Koirala criticizes the removal of MP's speech from parliament records. A quick look at the headlines once again. India gets a new parliament building. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says it is a shining example of country's vision. President Draupadi Murmu calls it an important milestone in India's democratic journey. ISRO begins countdown for the launch of navigation satellite NVS-01 from Satish Dhawan Space Center, Sriharikota. US President Joe Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy reach agreement to raise federal government's $31.4 trillion debt ceiling. In Turkey, second round of voting held for the first presidential runoff between Tayyip Erdogan and Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu. In badminton, HS Pranoy clinches men's singles title of Malaysia Masters 2023 at Kuala Lumpur. And IPL cricket final between Gujarat Titans and Chennai Super Kings delayed due to rain in Ahmedabad. And now, before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan Vaishno Jan by artists from Spain. And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.